the keys are to the glory days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from offseason to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Welcome to the live stream. Alex, we got news to go over, but we also want to get into all of your questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and start filling up the chat right now. We're going to get into it.
All up in there, Mopar. Get up in there, ask some wonderful questions for us to answer throughout the stream tonight. Look, Ant, lots of news. I mean, huge amounts of news for the 49ers. I mean, I don't know about the hugest of news, but it's pretty. Hold on. It's actually pretty huge.
Yeah, you were on the roll, so I thought I'd go ahead and.
I mean, listen, I'm excited. JLE, how you doing, my guy? Cutback crew, how you doing as well? Hit the like button if you haven't already, and let's get into the injury report first and foremost that came out because we got some updates on players. First and foremost, Ant so accurately on the Instagram and the Twitters. Updated everyone, let everyone know that Agent 3, Jaquiski Tartt, is good to go. He was a limited participant in practice, but he is saying that he is going to be playing Sunday. That is now the second 49er, and that is questionable that it said they're playing this weekend. But Jaquiski Tartt limited at practice. Azeez Al-Shaair limited at practice. Marcel Harris, again, limited at practice. Hufanga limited. Elijah Mitchell gets a limited session in, and as does Trent Williams and Mitch Wishnowsky. I think we're pretty comfortable at this point saying most, other than Azeez Al-Shaair and probably Marcel Harris, because we just don't know anything about what their progress is, everybody else that's on that list is probably trending towards playing.
And maybe Mitch Wishnowsky. I think he is trending, but I'm always worried when it comes to concussion protocol.
Accurate.
You don't know how well someone's going to progress through it. You don't know what their baseline was. There's a lot of things that play into that. So I think he's trending in the right way. The fact he's practiced 2 days in a row, obviously there's no symptoms that have reemerged. That's a good sign. So I think we are going to get all these guys back. I think everyone is going to be ready to roll when it comes time to play against Dallas. I think there's going to be a nice group of 49ers returning, and this is going to be the full-fledged team that we've been looking forward to.
I agree with you. And David, I know that you meant to put LGF, Let's Go Fam 49ers. I know that's what you meant. It wasn't supposed to be Let's Freaking Go. I know you're not a square type of guy. Mopar, and do you think we can make the Super Bowl?
Yeah. All you had to do was get into the playoffs. And then the way that the 49ers are built is playoff ready. You have a good running game and a good run-stopping defense, a very good defense overall.
Accurate.
So, yeah, you are capable of making it to the Super Bowl. You just had to get there. In fact, me and Alex were completely lamented all the way through the year because we kept saying that the 49ers had potential to go to the Super Bowl, and we were told we're just homers. We can't get to the Super Bowl. You need to be realistic about your football team. We were realistic about our football team. We just saw what was going on the field, and now it's time for the 49ers to prove it in the playoffs. Now, they have to do it, though, Alex. They have to prove it.
It's true.
You have to win games. You can't make mistakes.
Accurate.
But if the 49ers play an A-caliber football game, they can beat anyone in this league.
I see what you did there, Matt. Let's go, Brandon Ayuk, indeed. I agree. Listen, Ant, I have to go with this here too, because we were lamented hard for when things were bad and us pointing out, hey, the Niners are only losing by a score in each one of these games. I mean, I get it, we're losing. That's not great, but they're all close losses against decent teams, and one of them, Seattle, a rival, so a division rival who you've struggled to beat the last few years. So I mean, it just kind of is what it is. But look, this team could turn this around and make the playoffs. People were really, really going at it, and we never backed down. In fact, we even doubled down at times and said, listen, the Niners are going to make the playoffs. And when the Niners make the playoffs, we're going to tell you, we told you so. Now, we haven't told anybody we told you so yet because as of right now, no need to. The Niners need to take care of business, and we think that this team can go to a Super Bowl. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. The pieces you have, the weapons you have, the Pro Bowl caliber type players that you have all across the board, both offensively and defensively. This team is built to win football games. That's what they're built to do, and they're built to win tough football games. And if you don't know, playoff football is tough football. It is grind out football. It is about getting stops. It is about taking care of the football. It's about controlling the clock. Something the Niners have been doing extremely well since about week 8, week 9 of the season. So this team is built to have success. It just comes down to now execution and taking care of the football, which is something that a lot of people think, oh, the Niners have struggled with. I mean, they haven't really struggled with it. It's just been early in the season. You had some games where, you weren't creating turnovers and you were turning the ball over a couple of times.
Yeah, early on, it was lack of execution. The 49ers weren't able to execute. They were getting completely, caught off guard by some of the things that the other teams were doing schematically on defense. That was the reason the offense kind of sputtered. You put in the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo had a lower body injury again. Whenever Jimmy has a lower body injury, he's not able to, throw the ball with the full strength and usage of his legs, and that always creates issues for him. When he's able to do it, he doesn't need a lot of top half. He doesn't need a lot of hips, but he does need that lower half to be able to drive the football. You're seeing him also play with a different type of mindset, where Jimmy is now playing with I know this could be the end. I just got to go let it rip and see what happens. Kyle Shanahan says Jimmy's not afraid to make mistakes. You can't be afraid to make mistakes. You got to go out there and trust your instincts and go with it. And so that's what he's got to do in this game. But yeah, the 49ers are built to play in the playoffs. Sometimes, a playoff build is a struggle to get to the playoffs, through the regular season. But we'll see what happens now that they get in there. But they have to go get it done. They have to prove everyone right. And they have to continue to build, on what they've done the last few weeks.
Oh, 100%. That's what you got to do. That's what you have to get done there. That is just the reality situation. Mopar also asked about Trent Williams. Look, Trent Williams is practicing. He got a limited practice session in. He said he's playing. So look, he's playing. Under no circumstance is Trent Williams not going to be on the football field Sunday. He's going. Yeah, he's 100% going.
We have some great quotes too, by the way. I got to read the quotes before we move on. Matt Brigos by running the ball, we controlled the tempo of the game. Bud Kilmer, never show weakness. Only pain that matters, the pain you inflict. So
good stuff.
Yeah, well done there. And then Alex, I got to ask you this because we talked about this on a little bit on today's episode.
Okay.
Who would you rather have holding kicks, Mitch or Juice?
Mitch or Juice?
Coming from KNDR.
Juice. Excuse me, Mitch. Sorry, Mitch. Mitch is who I want holding kicks because he is the typical holder. I don't want Juice to be the first option. It's nice knowing that Juice is there. If you need to go to Juice, then go to Juice. But I would prefer if Mitch was the guy walking out there. I get it. There hasn't been. Robbie looked solid, but who knows? And maybe Robbie was solid because it's just that time of the year and he flipped the switch and he's just dialed in now. Maybe that's what it is.
It could also be that they were all short kicks.
Yeah,
the continuity is a real thing. So you want Mitch Wisnowski doing it. That's who he's comfortable with working with all the time. So I think you want Mitch Wisnowski. But yeah, it was fun to joke about that. Actually, Kyle Juszczyk made it better.
Very, very accurate, Ant. Very accurate indeed. We should use Garoppolo and Lance like the Raiders use Carr and Mariota, says Steven Mandler. Maybe, but no need to right now. Niners are moving. They're grinding.
I don't think you're going to see a lot of Trey Lance now.
No.
I think this is Jimmy Garoppolo's football team.
Unless Jimmy gets hurt. That's the only way you're seeing Lance. Yeah.
And then JLA says, Lakin got a little chunk of change bonus. Will this lead to another year of Lake at guard?
God, I hope so.
He did. He got a little over $250,000 in a bonus. The fact that he's played 64 straight games without missing, I think that's a good sign for the 49ers as somebody that's dependable. I think they want to bring him back. It's going to come down to what that money looks like. I think he wants to be here. He wants to be in San Francisco. Sometimes that plays into it. Will he give the 49ers a little bit of a discount? I don't know, because we're getting into that contract period where, hey, he's getting towards the end of his career. He needs that money.
He needs to get paid, and the Niners necessarily can't pay him as much as maybe he'd like, but maybe, Ant, that's not as important to him as winning Super Bowls, competing, and being in a system that he enjoys with people that he likes being around. Him and Trent Williams on that left side have been absolutely phenomenal this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing them both this weekend taking care of business against this Cowboys team. Look, let's get through before we get to some of these other questions, let's get through some of these other practice updates as well. Full participants of practice were Nick Bosa, Dre Greenlaw, and Maurice Hurst, George Kittle, who was resting the day before, and Alex Mack, as well as Jimmy Garoppolo. And Jimmy Garoppolo, Dre Greenlaw, and Maurice Hurst getting in full practice days. That's not good for everybody else. That's great news for the 49ers, though. Holy cow, getting all three of those guys, getting full goes in practices. This team is as close to 100% as we've seen all year.
Yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo's got a full grip on what he can do with the ball now.
I get it.
So yeah, he can go out there and he can execute a full practice session. That's good. That means he can make all the throws, keep the chemistry up with the wide receivers. It's just a good sign. I mean, the fact he can go out there and get it all done, doesn't have to be limited. It means he's able to manage, not only the injury pain-wise, but also with technique. So this is a good sign for the 49ers, and it's making me worry less and less about it as we play Dallas.
Very, very much the case. And Dallas, though, has a little bit of a hiccup there. Keanu Neal, their starting middle linebacker, out with practice, missed practice today, was a DNP. So not necessarily good for him, trending in the wrong direction here going into the end of the week. We'll see what happens with that and in that scenario there. Well, let's get to a couple more of these questions. We got some good stuff here.
Yeah.
Mopar, 49ers go to the Super Bowl. Who is the MVP for the team? Jimmy Garoppolo, Deebo Samuel, or George Kittle? I think this is a no-brainer. I think it's Deebo Samuel.
I think it's a no-brainer that it's a Jimmy Garoppolo.
Ooh, if we go to the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Even if Jimmy doesn't have to do a whole lot, the run game carries us there?
You know how hard it is for a non-quarterback to win a MVP in the Super Bowl. It is difficult, So I think Deebo Samuel, I mean, if he goes out there and he rushes for a touchdown, runs for catches a touchdown.
And throws one?
If he does that kind of stuff, yeah, Deebo would be the guy. But if Jimmy's the one that's pulling the strings on even half of those, right? If say he throws 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns in the game, the fact that it's Jimmy Garoppolo winning the game, it's going to go to him. But I do like the fact I would love for Deebo Samuel to win. I'd love for George Kittle to win it. I would love for any 49er to win the Super Bowl MVP, because that means we won the Super Bowl.
True.
I mean, if you want to give it to Mitch Wisnowski, give it to Mitch Wisnowski. That means we won the Super Bowl. I don't care.
True. Hefeshin, there's no way anyone saw Hurd running full speed at practice. He said Hurd seen running at full speed during practice.
He says it every single time.
I know. It's just not. It's not real. Wake up, Hefeshin. Wake up. It's a dream. You're in a dream world. This is a dream. I don't know what your inception he is to know that you're dreaming, but this
Jay
is that.
Always says it's
Deebo.
Moment. It's Deebo.
I mean, look, it's hard to believe.
He would deserve it.
100% deserves it.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens. You just don't know what's going to happen in those football games. No. Look at Jerry Rice going off for 220 something yards, I believe it was, against the Bengals in Super Bowl 23. Ridiculous numbers, and that's how he got the MVP. But that's the only time that Joe didn't get it. It's just it takes ridiculous performances by other players. Hopefully, I hope Deebo goes off. But like I said, any 49er player gets it, I'm happy.
Accurate. And Steven Mandler, hopefully Sermon comes back ready for blood. I hope he does too. But he also said, don't run Mitchell into the bones, split the carries between Sermon and Wilson. As of right now, that's not happening.
Sermon's not getting any carries.
And Sermon's probably not touching the football at all. Sermon will be lucky if he's active in the playoffs here. I know he's healthy and he's been activated, but he'll be lucky if he's not a healthy scratch. You might see Jeff Wilson get some carries if he's starting to get closer to being healthier. But listen, at the end of the day, Elijah Mitchell deserves everything that he gets right now. He has earned it. He has seized the brass ring. He has seized control of this backfield. He has earned the trust of the running back room. He's earned the trust of Kyle Shanahan, because it's not just the style of running, Ant, it's the holes that he's finding. They're putting him in positions, and you talked about this yesterday, in today's daily. You're also going to talk about this a little bit in the game plan video on Saturday. They are now running plays that aren't necessarily designed in terms of him being able to run to an area, but more so getting him the football and letting him pick and choose where he's going. It's almost option based. He has places he can go. You can take the ball outside and run, or you can cut back across the grain because they've set it up and blocked it that way and schemed it that way. His vision, his ability to read is unlike anything I've seen out of a rookie running back in the NFL coming in. It is crazy to think that this kid has developed as much as he has, and I can only imagine what this backfield would look like next year with him and Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, that's an exciting thought. And, I'm kind of sitting over here right now like Rob Schneider from Necessary Roughness is maybe it's not the best time to make sure everyone played. I haven't played yet. Put me in. I think that is kind of the thought process. I don't think that Trey Sermon's getting in. I do think he's going to develop in the offseason. I think he's going to benefit this team down the road. I just don't think it's right now. I think this team, the way that Kyle Shanahan is rolling with Elijah Mitchell, he wants to roll with him. You'll see JaMychal Hasty in third down situations, and then Jeff Wilson occasionally if Elijah Mitchell needs a break. But right now, the next guy to get the carries is going to be Deebo Samuel. It's going to be Elijah Mitchell, then Deebo Samuel, then Jeff Wilson Jr., and JaMychal Hasty on third down. That's why Trey Sermon doesn't make sense. They have open the window for Trenton Cannon.
True.
So that's another reason why you might see Trey Sermon be a healthy scratch. I honestly believe that if Trey Sermon's practice window wouldn't have been coming to an end, they wouldn't have activated him yet.
I probably agree with you on that there, Ant. I think they activate him because they want that option available to if they want to be able to go to Sermon or need to go to Sermon for an injury or things of that nature. Then you want to have him there in case you have to. But I don't think this is something they want to do. JLE said Sermon on special teams. I don't think so. I think if the Niners coaching staff had a choice between Sermon on special teams or Trenton Cannon, I think it's a no-brainer. You're going with Trenton Cannon.
Yeah, I think Trenton Cannon adds more in special teams area.
Accurate.
Trey Sermon is not as good as Trenton Cannon in special teams because of the things that Trenton Cannon does. He plays the gunner situation. He plays that really well. He can add other areas as well with kick coverage and stuff. So I think that he is a better special teams player than Trey Sermon. And I don't know what Trey Sermon adds to this team right now. He hasn't proven enough in his running style, the things that he did in this offense. And obviously he's not proving it in practice. And the practices that I saw, he definitely didn't prove it. But that was a long time ago. I don't know what his development is. But Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, JaMychal Hasty, Jeff Wilson Jr., they've all proven that they can do it.
True.
And so I think those are the guys you're rolling with. And I think that Trey Sermon, you're going to be practicing. If something happens and one of these guys get injured, you're going to be called upon. But if not, you're going to be a healthy scratch, and you're probably not going to play in the playoffs.
Very accurate. And Donald Johnson, how you doing, sir? Welcome to the live stream. Hope you're doing good. Hope you've had a good day. KNDR here, Ant. Are you guys excited for the USFL return?
I mean, as excited as I can get for, a spring football. I did watch the AAF. I watched a lot of the XFL before, the whole Coof thing happened and it dispelled and went away.
Accurate.
I think this is a good attempt. I like that they're trying to attack, spring football and give other guys opportunities. Daniel Brunskill was in the AAF, and that afforded him the opportunity to play for the 49ers. That's where he was seen. So I think it does give people options. I think spring football is a good avenue for them to have, but I'm not going to get overly excited about it until, number one, I see what it looks like. The team names are terrible, by the way.
They're awful.
But I want to see what it looks like. Is it more like the AAF? Because I did like the AAF.
If it's more like the AAF, it's all about the product, right? What the product ends up looking like will get me. I'll either be very excited about it, and we'll be trying to cover some of the things going on because there'll be guys who you're going to want to try and sign from this USFL. If the product is absolute hot garbage, kind of like we saw from a couple of different franchises before this, then this will just end up being a kind of a nothing burger, and everyone will forget about it, and it'll be important for a few weeks, and then everyone will just be like, moving on. There are more important things. Hafeshin said we're going to ride the Cowboys. I feel like we're going to buck the Cowboys, because the Cowboys typically like to do the riding because they're Cowboys. So we're going to buck the Cowboys. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he's saying like save a horse, ride a cowboy.
No, maybe he's saying that. Donald Johnson, what did I miss? Well, you missed the injury updates.
Trent Williams, limited in practice. Elijah Mitchell, limited in practice. Jimmy Garoppolo, full practice. Dre Greenlaw, full practice. Whiskey Tart posted on Twitter, he's going to roll. He's going to play in this football game. I think those are the big news that came out of it so far.
That's the big news that we've talked about so far. JLA, how long has Cannon been out?
Great question. It's been like a month. I think he's been out a month.
It's been at least a month. It was the Seattle game. At home.
Yeah.
At home? I think it was at home.
Well, it may have been over a month. It's been over a month. It's been a while.
It has been a little bit of time.
And then I see David V said, straight arrow Gennaro. That's also a necessary roughness comment. Well
accurate.
Done.
Very accurate.
One of my favorite movies of all time.
It is a good movie.
I love that one.
It is solid.
The halftime speech is one of the greatest.
And I ripped our heads off, and then...
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
And I got his playbook, and I got his whistle.
That's true. It's good stuff, man.
Let's analyze what's been working for us.
Absolutely nothing. Nothing, Ant.
Nada. Yeah.
Dang. It's great. It's absolutely gret. Mopar, I see Jimmy Garoppolo staying for one more year. Mopar, possibly. You and I have had this conversation a lot. And we've had this conversation with the Cutback crew before on a couple different live streams and different episodes. Jimmy Garoppolo has a chance to be around in San Francisco if they win a Super Bowl. I think that's the only thing that saves his job.
And even then, we kind of had a conversation off air last night, me and you. We're talking, and the offers that they would get for Jimmy Garoppolo if he does win a Super Bowl, because theoretically he could have to go through Dak and the Cowboys, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and maybe Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs. If he's able to run through that gauntlet with this football team, there are going to be huge offers from him. The Houston Texans, the Carolina Panthers. There'll be a lot of football teams.
Miami might. I mean, there are tons of teams that are.
You're talking about. We always wondered, could they get a first round pick? It could be a first and more. So in that case, you might also look about trading him. But I think the 49ers at that point might look at each other and be like, I think we should just try to run this back one more year. We'll see, though. It's going to be an interesting offseason. But first, the 49ers have to get that gauntlet done. They have to win those football games.
And you got to take care of the first team.
If they don't, it probably doesn't matter. you're going to see Trey Lance next year as a starting quarterback for the 49ers.
Accurate. Matt Burgos, when does Jimmy G's contract expire? It would be next year. End of next year.
End of 2022.
Correct. End of next year. I'm pretty confident if we stay healthy and play well, we'll be at the Super Bowl. Stay alert, NFL. Ivan agreed with you 100%. What do you guys think what Parsons said about bully ball with the 49ers? We talked about this actually in today's earlier video because Micah Parsons made the comments about, he's used to growing up with bullies in Harrisburg, and sometimes someone just needs to stand up to a bully and put them in their place. And I said this in today's daily. There's only one problem with that, Micah Parsons. You're one guy. You're one person. And you may be able to stand up to one bully, but you're talking about 11 bullies offensively. And one guy's not going to be able to stand up. You're going to have to instill that mentality into your entire team. And then even then, it has to be consistent for 4 quarters. We haven't seen a team do it. The Rams came out and tried to very early in that football game and had some success early. And it eventually got the best of them anyway. Yeah,
Jalen Ramsey hurt his shoulder. Deebo Samuel didn't even go down on the hit, yet he acted like he had a big hit. But the problem with this is Micah Parsons, since when has he proven he's a bully? Sometimes you have to be the bully and step up to another bully. In the run game, you're just not that good. So when have you been a bully? You've been a good pass rusher. Yeah, well done. You're a good athlete. You're a good player. We'll see what happens when you don't know if it's Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle, Tom Compton, or one of these guys that come at you in a big way. And heaven forbid you're playing linebacker when Trent Williams gets a running start at you. Because if you do, I'll see you back in Harrisburg because that's probably where you're going to land.
It's a good chance that's where you're going to land. And Donald Johnson here with the comment of comments. I watch Grant Cohn for a laugh. I watch you guys for intelligent and common sense. Salute to you, Donald. He's doing it right, Ant.
Yeah.
You do it for the comedy and for the memes, right? That's why if I'm ever tuning in for Grant, it's definitely for the memes because it ain't for anything else.
Yeah, did you get to see him featured in DJ Jones' video?
I did not.
Yeah, DJ Jones used a clip of Grant Cohn saying the 49ers will suffer will lose or struggle with this, losing DJ Jones. And then it was like Leo Luna that, goes on with Grant, sometimes saying, no, they're not going to miss him at all. In fact, it's better for the 49ers offense going against him. So DJ used that in a little hype video because he's about to hit free agency. So
true.
Grant Cohn, welcome to the big leagues on that one, I guess.
Welcome to the big leagues, Leo Luna, big yikes.
Hey, and Leo Luna took his lumps. He said, hey, he retweeted it, laughed, and said, I was wrong.
You were wrong.
Well done. I mean, that's how you handle it, right?
That's all you can do.
You just eat it.
If you're going to put that kind of stuff out there, you have to just eat it, Ant. Otherwise, you end up like Akash backpedaling still. He's still backpedaling on Twitter. I can't believe it.
The good news is, he's got it covered then, right? He's way over the top of that receiver.
I don't know, man. He's got a lot of backpedaling to do.
I wonder if we could get Crocker to break down his form on his backpedal.
Hey, we need to ask. Just, hey, Croc, real quick question. You see how he's been backpedaling for a while now. How's he looking?
Yeah.
Is it a good backpedal? Is he getting good depth? Is it tits over toes? Is he doing everything?
Well, I like shoulders over toes.
Shoulders over toes? All right, well. I guess it depends on the coach you had growing up. I don't know. Need to get out of this meeting so I can join this conversation. Stupid bosses. I hate that. I absolutely hate that when you're trying to do something else and it's just not the case. Gary is right, though. Hit that like button. Step it up, TCC. Smash that thing into oblivion. James Vega, what's up, TCC Faithful? I'm ready for some 49ers playoff football. This takes me back to the 90s with some of these matchups, these great playoff 49ers Cowboys games. Agree. Let's see. David also here, David Campbell, and is it wrong? I have zero anxiety or worry for this week so far. Completely opposite of last week.
I would say that I somewhat agree. Like my anxiety and stress levels for this game against the Cowboys is lower than last week against the Rams. I think the Rams made me very nervous, and I think the Cowboys, I like the matchups. I'm going to get nervous closer to this game because the rivalry is real. I mean, this is a real rivalry. I don't have as much problems with it now because luckily for me, most of the Cowboy fans I know are like good fans and they understand football. So we can have legitimate conversations about it. But we all know that there's some bad ones out there that give you crap. But I want to win this game, but I think the 49ers are positioned and built to win this game. So I'm definitely with David on this. The anxiety levels are down at probably an all-time low, even lower than it was in 2019 to play the Minnesota Vikings.
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. I see you there. I see what you're getting at, and I agree there. My anxiety level really hasn't been that high this week. Ivan, I can't corroborate that at all. So drop a link if that is accurate. He's saying breaking news: John Lynch expects Aziz to play Sunday.
He might have went on KNDR. Sometimes he does, or KNBR.
KNBR, not KNDR collectibles. Yeah, I know.
Sorry, Caleb.
No, I see no. JLA, run all over that Cowboys. Need to set the play action. I like it. A lot of big names returning for them. We need them. I can't wait for the 49ers to bang the overall record versus the Cowboys to 19-18-1 after this Sunday. Glad you're out of the meeting, Brad. We got lots of stuff here. Everyone is, dude, chat is lit right now.
Yeah,
I absolutely love every second of it. Donald said he believes Jimmy G will be gone at the end of the season. I think that's the most realistic possibility, even if they were to win a Super Bowl, just because you and I talked about that with what Jimmy may fetch then in free agency. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, Kyle Juszczyk went up to Jimmy Garoppolo and said, this is the last regular season game we're ever going to play together. So I think that there's an understanding there. Jimmy Garoppolo's admitted that he's thought about what would happen after the season. I think he's trying to prevent from getting there. So there's a realization that this could happen, and it's going to happen at some point. Jimmy's just trying to, milk this for all it is. I think this team is trying to milk it for all it is and just take advantage of this great roster that's been built by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan.
Agreed, Ant. Agreed with you there. And yeah, Ivan just said it was in KMBR. So on KMBR, apparently he's believing as he's going to play. Ant, that means we are going to see our linebacking core for the first time together since week 1.
Yeah, so the good news is coming out in waves for the 49ers. Dre Greenlaw practices in full. Aziz is going to play. You got Jaquiski Tartt going to play. Trent Williams going to play. Elijah Mitchell back at practice, going to play. Jimmy Garoppolo, full participant. It seems like there's a tidal wave of things trending in the right direction. It's playoffs now. Everything is going to be big time, but it's exciting.
Gary's not wrong, Ant. Niners are just keeping us busy. They are 100% keeping us busy.
I definitely appreciate the Niners putting out news. No slow days for us.
No, none at all. The 0, and I'm all good with it right now.
Yeah.
It's like give me all of the busy days. And yes, Brad, Maurice Hurst was a full participant in practice, as was Jimmy G and Dre Greenlaw. We talked about that a little bit earlier. But Ant, there was some other news. ESPN, that network that used to cover sports exclusively and now does a bunch of stupid stuff all the time. ESPN actually came out with flaws that could hurt the 49ers on Sunday versus the Cowboys. So Cutback crew, I'm going to have a poll for you to vote on after this. If you think ESPN is right, the flaws answers that the Niners, Kyle Shanahan's team has struggled to stay afloat when it turns the ball over. They're 2-6 when they turn the ball over 2 or more times this year, and otherwise they're 8-1. And you're playing a Cowboys team, Ant, that has forced 2 or more takeaways 12 times this season, a feat that has only been accomplished by the 2019 Steelers and the 2013 Legion of Boom Seahawks. Ant, that's what they're comparing them to now at this point. Keep in mind, the Cowboys have 12 wins on the season. They've done it 12 times. I wonder if they're 12-0 in those games and lost every game where that wasn't the case, Ant. I wonder if that's a stat that ESPN should have included in their article, but they didn't. The other weakness, Ant, the 49ers are bereft. He actually said bereft in the article at cornerback against a team with multiple star receivers and are going to need a heroic effort on the ground to be able to stick with Dallas. So ESPN believes the Niners' 2 biggest flaws are the fact that they have struggled with turnovers, which is something that I think affects every team in the league, if I'm not mistaken, and the cornerback play, Ant, because this is a team that's bereft with talent at the wide receiver position. Hey, don't we play in the NFC West with teams that have great quarterback play and talented wide receivers?
Yeah, we do. And you could look at this stat as a negative, that if the 49ers turn the ball over 2 or more times, they're probably going to lose the game. Or you could look at the fact that if the Cowboys don't create 2 or more turnovers, they're going to lose the game.
Oh, so it's a glass half empty or glass half full type situation.
It's all about how you look at it. And when it all boils down to is the team that doesn't turn over the ball is going to win the football game.
Isn't that just standard?
That's pretty much standard.
Isn't that just pretty much standard?
If you win the turnover battle, well, not the Sitkin kind of standard.
Oh, not the Sitkin standard. Okay.
If you turn the ball over, you're going to struggle to win football games. The Niners, the reason they were able to beat the Rams, even though they turned the ball over twice, was the fact the Rams turned the ball over twice, and it evened out for us to have a better chance to win. So yeah, if the 49ers win the turnover battle, they will win against Dallas. I mean, that's about as plain as I can say it. That's just something that's been proven all year long, and so the 49ers just need to do that. And I think they can protect the ball. They can keep it safe. And if they do, then they can roll over Dallas.
I agree with you on that as well. Ivan said, if Dak starts cooking, I'll be a little worried. Yeah, it's always worrying when a quarterback starts going, and that could be the case. But listen, the real question will be, can he maintain it? Can he keep it going? And if he's not able to move the football around, and they're not able to run the ball, it's going to be hard for him to continually have success because he's going to have to drop back against this pass rush and continue to be able to get the ball out quick, which if it's third and longs and things of that nature, and you can't get the ball out quick, you got to let things develop. You got to have some time. So we'll see what happens there. Let's hope Greenlaw doesn't try to Brock Lesnar someone this week from KNDR Collectibles. Well, listen, I like a good suplex attempt every now and again, as long as it doesn't result in a penalty.
What's bad is if he doesn't suplex, if he doesn't go through that motion, Fred Warner absolutely knocks that ball out. Fred Warner comes with the punch and he gets the ball loose, but because Dre was picking him up in the air, his punch is not directly on it. The ball actually comes out and Akers is able to kind of grip it at the end, but it was that close to being a turnover. So yeah, I think Dre was a little amped up. You had that. You had the face mask. You also had the helmet-to-helmet contact, and then also some missed coverage things. I think he was just a little amped up. I think he's going to settle in, though.
That's true. Steven, the only thing I'm worried about is Jimmy throwing picks. And listen, Kyle Shanahan's not. Jimmy Garoppolo's not worried about failing or making mistakes. What we've seen from Jimmy in terms of his ability to read the field right now is some of the best we've seen out of Jimmy Garoppolo during his time here. He's reading right now at an all-time high. And I think the nice thing is that the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan saw a lot of different things early in the season from teams that they haven't seen before. And now they've adapted and adjusted to a point where they're very familiar with a lot of the stuff they see. I don't know how much more you can throw at this football team offense, at this offense from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, what is up, Clown Man, by the way? What is up? And yeah, right now, I mean, you've seen it go through the stages in the season. Early on in the season, the defenses were trying some new things. They were bringing up the 5 guys like they did against the Rams. The Patriots really started in that Super Bowl a few years back. And then pretty soon it was 6 guys, and they were changing the way they were playing defense to stop the 49ers run game. The loss of Raheem Mostert really changed the way the 49ers were able to attack. They were able to beat the Lions and the Eagles because they're a superior football team. When they played the Packers, it really felt like the game plan that LaFleur came up with was fantastic for Kyle Shanahan for the first half. The second half of that, Kyle Shanahan adjusted, and that's where you started seeing the Kyle Shanahan adjustments. He adjusted and changed it. The problem was the way that teams were going to play Kyle Shanahan, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the 49ers offense, they have to adjust to. They were going to play that robber-type defense. They were going to bring that safety into the intermediate and help take away those crossing patterns, and take away the dig routes and that sort of thing. And then they were going to also, bring the 5 and 6 guys to the line of scrimmage and really try to test this run game. Early, the 49ers were trying to find ways around it. Now they've found the way to attack it. And a lot of that has to go with Elijah Mitchell being able to get these half pitches and make his reads, whether he's going to go outside, whether he's going to cut up in, or if they're going to run that counter play. There's 3 options that come out of it. And as a defense, you have to play discipline. And if you play disciplined, sometimes it's still not good enough because the 49ers execute at such a high level. So it's putting a lot of stress on these defenses. And along the way, Kyle Shanahan has done certain things to help counter this robber concept. And Jimmy Garoppolo's getting it out to the hash instead of right over the middle, and the 49ers are taking advantage of that. And that's the reason why Akash, the backpedal that he is, put up the stat line where he's seen Jimmy Garoppolo in the 49ers offense spray that ball all over the field.
Very accurate, and he's been doing a much better job of attacking in different areas. And Jay Ellie with the Avengers Infinity War quote and the "I'll do you one better. Why is ESPN?" after the "Who is ESPN? What is ESPN?" LOL. Incredible. JLA. The movie quote references in the stream, Ant, are on point right now.
I love it. Yeah.
It is just wonderful. We see you, Cutback crew. We see you. Ivan, Skip is pretty confident the Cowboys are going to beat the Niners. He likes the fact that Shannon is choosing us and has a lot of confidence there. I mean, do you expect Skip to pick anyone else? I mean, come on.
Skip is one of the worst writers in San Jose Mercury News history.
Accurate.
So yeah, Skip Bayless always just says outlandish things, is constantly wrong. He's the national media version of Grant County. So there you go.
True. Brad, on Jimmy's performance against the Rams of watching the All-22, what did you guys think of his 2 interceptions? The All-22 actually just came out for us today, so we don't have like what John Chapman and all these other guys have. They're using, I think, the Europe version.
They're using the England version. They're using
the England
VPN
version of
like that,
VPNs of the All-22. We're actually just on the U.S.-based one, so we're not as privy. We just got the All-22 film today, so I haven't got to watch that, but I did get to watch Johnny Dell's breakdown of the All-22. As well as a couple other snippet clips. Listen, that second one, I thought during the game, the interception Ramsey had in the goal line, I didn't think it was as bad as a lot of other people thought at the time. In fact, I got into it with a couple former players of mine over it where I said, I thought he put it in the window. It's just maybe not the greatest throw. There's a lot of traffic. He's getting hit while he's throwing. It's just a tough pass to make. A lot of people were like, no, that was a mistake. He never should have put the ball there. He folded in the moment. Johnny Dell broke that clip down very well, Ant. And it looks like it was a pretty good read from Jimmy Garoppolo. I think the first pick, that first one that he threw in that football game was just kind of an unfortunate situation. It wasn't necessarily the best throw in the world, but Jimmy Garoppolo was taking some chances in this football game, and Kyle talked about that.
The first one is when he got hit.
Yeah, he got hit. There's not a lot he can do on that one. It's unfortunate because Travis Benjamin's actually open.
Yeah, Travis Benjamin's wide open.
Hugely open.
He's open for the post pattern.
It's McKivitz that gets beat across his face, correct? And yeah, it's Aaron Donald.
They ran an inside stunt. Yeah. And he's trying to get the ball down the field, but he's got to whip it about 50 yards. It's not something that he can just, use his wrist and get out. So he's trying to step into it, and he's got pressure right into his legs. He's not able to get that ball out. I think the only thing you can say is maybe in that situation, Jimmy should have just ate it and took the sack. But he's trying to make a play, and if he gets the ball down the field, he's able to get it to Travis Benjamin. Travis Benjamin's going to walk into the end zone for a touchdown. And you're right, on the other one, George Kittle is open. In fact, if Jimmy Garoppolo puts that ball on him, now there's pressure, so Jimmy's kind of moving, but I think we can get a better throw out of Jimmy. I don't know if the thumb played into it, but we can get a better throw out of him, because if he puts that where he should put that for George Kittle probably scores a touchdown on that play. He had Jalen Ramsey in the zone coverage. They jumped on Deebo underneath, and it allowed George Kittle that opportunity to have that void. And if he catches the ball, he probably carries Jalen Ramsey into the end zone for a touchdown, which would have been a huge play in that game. So I get what Jimmy was looking at. I'm more upset when Jimmy makes the wrong read or misses a receiver. When he just makes a bad throw, those type of things happen to NFL quarterbacks. You're gonna have to live with them. We're gonna live with them for years from every quarterback that we have. But at least he's making the right reads.
That is important, man. That is huge that he's making the right reads. And that's what we've been seeing consistently on film from Jimmy Garoppolo the last few weeks, is that for the most part, he has been. It's been very rare when he's missed something completely. And, teams are struggling more and more now. It feels like each and every week, of disguising coverages and getting Jimmy Garoppolo off his game, which is a positive thing for the 49ers, because if Jimmy Garoppolo is reading and diagnosing and taking the right risks and the right chances and making the right tight window throws at the right time, the 49ers offense is going to continue to keep clicking and continue to keep rolling, which is a really good thing for the 49ers, and it's something that needs to continue. James here says, if the 49ers can run the ball and tear down the Cowboys defense by keeping them on the field with long drives, I can see the 49ers completely controlling this game in the second half. Agreed.
Yeah, if the 49ers get this run game going and are able to, get them even into, if it's 30-plus rushes for the 49ers, 30-plus rushes for the 49ers mean the 49ers are going to win this game. That means they were able to, execute an attack, and I think there's avenues that they can do that. Now, let's see how Dallas and Dan Quinn come out and try to handle playing against this 49ers offense. So they're going to load up early and make Jimmy Garoppolo beat them. If they don't, and I think Dan Quinn's going to try to go with kind of an in-between role, an in-between goal is play some guys in the box sometimes and limit the 49ers run game. If it doesn't work and he has to go fully commit, then Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be able to attack. And there is the possibility that no matter how many guys they commit, they still can't stop the 49ers run game. And in that case, yeah, this game is going to get shortened. The 49ers are going to, be able to handle and run this defense off the field. And they know all you're looking for on defense is a couple of stops, and this Dallas Cowboys team will be, struggling to catch up.
100% that could definitely be the case, and we'll see what happens with that. And we'll see how the Niners address this and attack it. T.O., what happened to the Rams in the second half? Did they put it on cruise control? They couldn't stop the O or the D? What happened? Look, at the end of the day, the Rams came out and were very ready for how the Niners wanted to run the football, what they wanted to do offensively with the pass game. And they were able to put pressure, put some guys in the box, and blow some things up early in the football game. They had success, but they weren't ready for the adjustments. They weren't ready for some of the cutbacks. They weren't ready for the Niners to not try and, when they run tosses, not just try and get outside amp, but set themselves up for situations where they can run up underneath, kick guys out, and things of that nature. Kyle Shanahan just adjusted based on what the coverage was in the pass game, changed some of the route concepts, as well as just changed up some of the fronts and the looks offensively with the run game and how they went about attacking.
Yeah, they changed up things they did, and then they also brought back some concepts they ran the first time. In the first half, Kyle Shanahan went away from the things that they had done early, right? Where they send the guy in motion and the guy would help with George Kittle on the defensive end. They kick out and they'd run underneath.
They were expecting them to be
adjusted to it. And they probably did. But the 49ers ended up going back to it and using it. What they also did was they added in the wham. They had George Kittle come back against the grain and kick guys in. In fact, Deebo Samuel's touchdown run, there's a wham block by George Kittle where he's going to block an interior defensive lineman, kick him inside, and Deebo Samuel gets around the outside. It's one of the most unique run plays you're ever going to see. And it's just execution at an all-time level from that run game. But it felt like the Rams couldn't sustain the physicality that they set forth in the first half. They came out there with that aggressiveness, that style. They were getting after the Niners. once the Niners reasserted themselves that first drive of that second half, the Rams couldn't consistently play with the Niners with that physical nature. They're not built that way. That's the problem. There's a lot of teams that are built tough, but they're not built the way the 49ers are built because they keep coming at you. And when it's a physical matchup like that, it's going to be the gritty team, the one that's been through the most that's going to get there, and the 49ers are that team. I think that's what happened to the Rams. You're right. The adjustments by the coaches was fantastic. And then overall, the 49ers players just kept playing with the same intensity they played with the whole time, and the Rams couldn't sustain it.
They couldn't. And that's one of the problems with bully ball, Ant, is if you're not a team who's built to play bully ball, it's hard to bully. It's hard to bully consistently. Clown Man, you guys make a cutback hoodie or Scullies? I'll buy a couple. 49erscutbackshop.com. Yes, we got hoodies. We got 49ers Cutback hoodies. You got 49ers Cutback merch. Coffee mugs?
Yeah, we do not have a Scully, but that should be something we add.
That should be. I like that.
Good idea.
Clown Man.
Well done.
Just for you. For you now, my guy. Steven here. I want to see Garoppolo versus Brady for the NFC Championship game. It's funny that you say this. Off air last night, and I had a nice long conversation that was more just fandom based than it was like podcast prepping or anything else, just talking about this team, the journey this team's been on. And what's left ahead for this team and what it would mean for this team and for the fan base. And we talked about, he looked at me and goes, what would you want? Like, in all honesty, what do you want? Do you want the Eagles to beat the Bucs, them get to go to Tampa Bay, and you play the Cardinals and the Rams? Or do you want to go to Green Bay, have to take down Aaron Rodgers? You want the Bucs to win out, travel to Tampa Bay, Brady, Garoppolo, and then turn around and go to the Super Bowl and play against Patrick Mahomes? And I said, yes, that right there is what I want. Like, there would be nothing sweeter than Jimmy Garoppolo leading this team through that gauntlet of quarterbacks, that gauntlet of teams, right? In Green Bay at Lambeau Field, and at Tampa Bay, taking down the master, the man he learned from in Tom Brady, and then turning around and getting Patrick Mahomes again in the Super Bowl, and this time flipping the script and this team coming out with a big W. It would be the icing on top of the cake that has been this season, which has been filled with layers, different layers that a lot of people didn't like early on. And you and I have said, early in the season, the things that this team is having to deal with and overcome, this is adversity. These are the type of things that prepare you for, the type of team you need to be late in a football season. And it can't always be sunshine and rainbows. At some point, you want it to be. You want it to just be smooth sailing. But these are moments and things that they can learn and grow from and could make them a better football team down the road.
Yeah, I think so. I think no matter what, you're going to have tough matchups, right? So let's get the most compelling ones. Let's get the 49ers traveling to Lambeau Field to take care of Aaron Rodgers and LaFleur. I believe LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers got over on the 49ers in the first game, but savor the flavor because it won't happen again. You didn't have Elijah Mitchell in that game. You had a different type of team that game. I think that the 49ers can definitely go in there and take care of business against them. I think it would be a tough game. It'd be a huge battle, but they're capable of doing it. And you're right. The script writes itself. Tom Brady versus Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFC Championship. It would be one of those games. Kittle versus Gronk. I mean, you just talk about the matchups. It's going to be there. And then, the Super Bowl rewrites itself, right? 2019 happened. 49ers, had all the struggles. I think the main reason I want all this to happen, Alex, and the 49ers have to win the Super Bowl for this to happen, but I want the America's game. I want that talk. I want, we're going to sit down with the players who went through it, and I want them talking to Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan.
I want the story of this team.
Yeah, I want the story too.
I want that.
So but they got to do it, and it's no easy task. There's no easy feat. There's no easy game coming into these playoffs. There was no easy road. They have to go in there and take care of business, and the first one is the Cowboys. But yeah, it's fun to think about the possibility of Jimmy Garoppolo and this 49ers team going in and rolling through these teams. Plus, taking out the Cowboys and Packers for any 49ers fan just feels like a good freaking day.
Especially if the Raiders lose in the first round, too, on top of that.
And if it's not Tom Brady, if it could be the Los Angeles Rams or Arizona Cardinals and we could dispel them in the NFC Championship game, that would be the next best thing.
That would be the next best thing if it's not Tom Brady and the Bucs. Ant Ivan says, who are you guys more worried about, Bucs or Packers? I would say the Packers, only because the Bucs are dealing with a lot of injuries. There's a lot of turmoil over there. And Aaron Rodgers has been playing MVP football yet again for the second straight season. And has that team playing very well. So I think Green Bay is the team that is the more dangerous of the two. Tom Brady is still Tom Brady. And if they make it all the way to the NFC Championship game and you're playing that team, they're going to be playing at a high level at that point in time. So, yeah, you'd be worried about them. But I think the tougher game would be the Packers.
I think both games are tough. I mean, it's like picking, Pick your poison. I mean, either one is going to be a tough game. You're going to have to go in there and execute at a high level. It's going to take the best of the best effort to beat those teams, and you got to hope that you can get it done. But I mean, I don't really know who's the better team. I think they're really close.
True. I agree with you there. Mike L here. I like this. Jimmy is solid in my opinion. Any guy that leaves it all on the field can go to battle with me anytime. Agreed. JLA said Jimmy G misses on some passes, either just back, shoulder, over, underthrown. Jimmy does trust his eyes, but his arm just can't make the throw his mind wants him to make. I think that's the case sometimes, but I think right now it's hard because of the thumb. He talked about early in the game, and it was numb. He couldn't really feel it. And as the game progressed, he started to get a little bit of a feel and got comfortable with it. I think right now with the thumb, it makes it a little bit harder for him than maybe it would be without it. But Jimmy's always been one of those guys who I think just trusts himself. He trusts what he's seeing. He trusts his release, and he believes that, if someone gives him a window and he sees it at the right moment in time, that he can get it there, despite the fact that he doesn't have the elite arm that everyone says.
Yeah, I mean, quarterbacks make mistakes, and they're not always going to get the ball right where it should be. The really great ones do it on a more consistent basis, and that's why I think Jimmy's a good quarterback, but he's not afraid of the moment. And I'll take someone that's not afraid of the moment, that's willing to go in there and let it rip. But JLA's not wrong. He does miss on some things.
He does.
His receivers could also help him. I mean, Brandon Ayuk had a drop in that game that he could have caught.
Deebo had one.
I think they help him a lot of times, but there's some more that I think they should catch. But yeah, Jimmy needs to make sure he rips it in the right locations, because if he does, they can take advantage of this Dallas defense.
Absolutely can. JLA says, Chiefs. Does anybody have a different choice out of the AFC? Look, I think the AFC is going to be a barn burner as well. I don't think there's a set solid team that could come out of there. I mean, look, the Titans are the number 1 seed. You got to go through Tennessee. The run game has been phenomenal for them all season long, except for when they played the Niners, weirdly enough. And they're getting King Henry back. So, I mean, they're not going to be an easy out for anybody over there in the AFC.
No, I mean, I'm not. I'll be honest. I think the 49ers can beat the Tennessee Titans.
Agreed with you.
So if they show up in the Super Bowl, I'm okay with that. In fact, in 2019, that's who I wanted in the Super Bowl, was the Tennessee Titans. I believe the Niners could have beat them then. Yeah, I think there's other options. I think the Buffalo Bills are another team that could, can be an option.
Agreed.
So I think there's teams that are over there that can do it. I think that Kansas City's just one that 49er fans yearn for, because they want that payback. What happened in 2019. I don't care. I don't care who it is. If it ends up being Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, great. If it's somebody else, great too. At that point, I just want to win the Super Bowl.
We know Berman wants Bills Niners.
He does.
You know he does. Look. Okay.
Nothing more 90s than Chris Berman picking San Francisco versus Buffalo Bills.
It's true. There is nothing more 90s than that. T.O., amazing question. Would Brady shake Jimmy G's hand if the Bucs lost to the Niners in the playoffs?
Yeah, but he wouldn't be happy about it.
You think he would?
I think he would.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he would, because he knows all eyes would be on him. And there's one thing he's
done this in the playoffs before, though. He's lost a playoff game and walked off the field without shaking hands.
But if I'm Jimmy G, I walk up to him and be like, I'm the one you were effing talking about in the barbershop, right? That's why they kept me. And then I walk off. Jimmy's got to be the G in this situation.
Yeah, he's got to be the G.
You got to be that guy. Yeah. And you know what? That'll actually earn, I believe, Tom's respect.
I agree with you.
If he goes up, hey, you might be the GOAT, but you got goated today. You got beat.
It's true. You did get goated today.
I'm Jimmy freaking G. And I think I would be even more, more behind Jimmy at that point.
I put the G in GQ.
Yeah. Move over, Tom.
You don't got this chin line, Tommy.
What if he looked at him and just said, hey, Tom, you've been retired?
That would be the G's thing you could possibly do. By the way, Fogey said, Shooter, better late than ever. Shooter, welcome.
Welcome, Shooter.
Always good to see you, man. Always good to see you. That's why I keep saying, make sure the Bucs play before the Niners this week, and next week's the NFL can fix it, so it'd be Jimmy G versus Brady in the NFC Championship.
Well, it is this week for sure. So
it's true. It is.
You got to think the NFL, the media members in the back of their mind want Tom Brady versus Jimmy Garoppolo in the NFC Championship. I think they would take Aaron Rodgers versus Tom Brady.
They would 100%.
But I think there's people that are like, what? Let's do Jimmy G and Tom.
Hey, listen, if the NFL is rigged, NFL, take care of business. And if it's not rigged, then Niners take care of business.
The question is, who do they want to win in that situation? In your rigged scenario, you got to think they want Jimmy G to overcome, right, and beat Tom Brady. They need a new star for the future.
But they have Pat Mahomes, right? I mean, I kept thinking, I thought there was no way in that Super Bowl last year that the Bucs were going to win that football game.
Yeah.
I thought there was no way, because the storyline writes itself, right? Passing of the torch to Patrick Mahomes. The fact that happened it restored some faith with me in the NFL and them not being
except for the fact that they could keep.
Well, Well, they could actually call penalties for the Bucs and not for the Niners.
They could keep Tom Brady completely, viable too.
Also accurate. Brad, and after watching that Raiders-Chargers game, I'm so happy we have Kyle calling plays. That Chargers offense is hard to watch, even with Herbert. It was tough to watch because it was getting to fourth down so consistently, and they weren't able to move the ball unless it was for the NFL, it was perfect. It was everything you needed to be for a closeout game with, win and get in implications or tie implications for both teams getting in. It was perfect, but it wasn't a very well executed game. It was very dramatic. That it was. Exciting. There's that. If you're a fan, you love it. I want the Raiders versus Niners Super Bowl because the world would riot.
At least the California, Las Vegas area.
True.
I think anywhere in California there'd be some heated matchups. That would be a game that I would be nervous for, only for the fact I think the 49ers could handle business and beat the Raiders. I think that's a great matchup for the Niners. However, the off fact that the Raiders beat the Niners in the Super Bowl, Alex, we would never, and I mean ever, hear the end of it, to the end of time.
Accurate.
This would be the one thing we always heard. This is the only thing I wish that we would have got out of the 1983 season. The 49ers don't, lose that playoff game, which they shouldn't have. They were the best team in the NFL. A Niners-Raiders Super Bowl, the Niners would have absolutely dominated that 1983 team and would have won, and I could have held that over them forever. And that would have been I was just born, so that would have been wonderful.
It would have been glorious, Andrew. Yeah. It would have been absolutely glorious. Jay Haley took a page out of Don Burr's book, Niners versus Everyone. That's a good page out of the book for Burr there, Mr. Burr.
Yeah.
Niners versus Everyone, that's great. Tommy Christensen, what's up, guys? What's good? Been having this discussion in other chats. Is Amari Cooper a weapon or a game changer? Interesting.
I just think he's a solid receiver. I think that's what he is. I think he's just a guy that, can make plays and, play in and play out. From what I've seen on film from this year, because I've been going back and watching a lot of the Cowboys film and getting ready for this week, as I just believe he's a very solid, good player that can do whatever you need him to do. He's a solid number one wide receiver in this league. And I don't think that he's like the greatest. I also don't think that he's as big a weapon as say like a Deebo Samuel. I just think he's a very solid player that at any moment he can beat you with his great route running and the way that he attacks the football.
And he's physical.
He is. He's very physical. I worry about him in similar situations that you just saw Higbee beat Ambry Thomas. I worry about him handling those. Amari can definitely handle those situations.
Agreed. I think he can be a game changer in certain situations. But I think against the Niners, it's going to be hard for him to be a game changer, and he'll be more of just a weapon in the tool belt for Dak Prescott. And the reason that is because the Niners have shown they don't have to load up the box with 8-9 guys in order to stop the run. You can do it with 7, which allows you to keep the 2 safeties over the top, which means, Amari Cooper being able to beat Ambry Thomas over the top is not a problem. And listen, I'm not worried about Amari Cooper on Emmanuel Mosley. I'm really not.
No, I'm not either.
Emmanuel Mosley has showed me we can put him on a number 1 and he can have success. He may get beat occasionally, but it doesn't happen very often.
Are you okay with CD Lamb and Ambry Thomas one-on-one?
I'm going to say yes. Have you seen enough of him underneath as a route runner?
CD Lamb?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good with the ball in his hands after the catch, though.
Okay. No, that could be a problem because if Ambry's playing with space and they're throwing underneath, that could be a problem.
And I think they would have to. In a cover 3 type situation, he's going to be playing off. He's going to be playing bail technique. So you're going to have to rally and make tackles. That is a concern. But I think early in the game, they try to help Ambry Thomas. I think later in the game, they'll take more chances, hopefully with the lead. But I am a little concerned about that. I'm not concerned about Cedric Wilson in the slot against K'Wan Williams. I'm not concerned about any of these tight ends against the 49ers safeties. I think it's the second receiver, the guy who's playing against Ambry Thomas, is the biggest worry for me in this game.
Yeah, I think I would agree with you on that, Ant. And listen, Cloudman and Tommy Christensen agreed, and we're on point with them. So look at that, guys. We're like brainwave connecting. It's awesome. Not gonna lie, you guys boost my confidence. If the Niners, confidence in the Niners. So I put $100 on the Niners will beat the Cowboys, says Ivan. So Ivan put down $100 on the Niners. That's good. We did not give betting advice though. That's not what we did. We didn't give you betting advice, but I'm glad you're confident in your team. That's important. That's very, very important, Ant. Candy R Collectibles, Ant, with a very powerful message for the poverty franchises in the NFL. Can someone tell these poverty franchises to keep their hands off of our coaching staff? Well, you know what, KNDR? Let me tell you something. This is a perfect segue opportunity because Mike McDaniels actually made a comment about his head coaching search and opportunities. And you know what Mike McDaniels had to say? He had to say, and I quote, "It has come to my attention, but as far as juggling, there is no juggling. It's about the Dallas Cowboys and the 49ers offense going down there and performing, and the 49ers team doing whatever it takes to try and get a W against a very good football team." And that's it from Mike McDaniels. And what an absolute legend. This man is an absolute... I don't want him to go, Ant. I don't want him to go at all.
The fact that he uses the phrase, "I'm well aware of it." Aware. I mean, not like, I've heard about it.
I've heard him really excited.
It's going to be an interesting...
What a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah. It's like, I'm glad to have a team interested. No, I'm aware of it. I know what's going on, but I'm here to beat the Cowboys.
You think the Dolphins are sitting there going, what?
You know what? If I'm the Dolphins, I'm kind of like, you know what? I kind of like this guy.
I like this guy's weak. He's quirky.
He's focused on what he's doing right now. He's focused on the task at hand. And when he's my head coach, if he is my head coach, I want him to be focused on the task at hand.
I agree with you there. I agree with you there. So KNDR, great segue, my guy. And yes, Mike McDaniels is focused on the Niners. So you know what? Don't worry about these. I guess your words, poverty franchises. Your words, Caleb. Not ours.
I like that word.
Your words. These poverty franchises trying to take from our coaching staff. Hey, when you're successful and you got a good organization and good foundation, people want some of that success. They want to share in it and divulge in it. That's what they're going to try and do. And Brad Jones here. And have you guys heard the backstory on why Ambry Thomas opted out his last season at Michigan because of the COVID?
No, I knew that he had opted out, but no, I did not hear the actual backstory.
I didn't know the backstory either, Brad, so you can drop it down there in the comment section if you want. Donald Johnson, do you think Ambry Thomas is going to have a good game? Depends. How do you define good game, Donald?
Well, I think that it comes down to, this is what we've been saying all week. It comes down to the run game. If the 49ers stop the Cowboys' run game with 7 guys in the box, then Ambry Thomas is going to have a great game because they can roll coverage over. They can help him out. They can keep him out of one-on-one situations. If they have to commit one of these safeties to the box, and he doesn't get the help that he needs at times, then I think there are opportunities for him to be taken advantage of because CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper are good at what they do. So I think that there is an opportunity for the 49ers to protect him and him have a good game, and I think there's also an opportunity for him to get exposed a little bit for the rookie, that he is still.
True. I do agree with you there. And David Campbell, knock that off. Lamb is playing this week. Kinlaw is not. Don't do that, David. Don't do it.
I mean, in the same regard, would you rather have CeeDee Lamb or Brandon Ayuk?
If you're taking CeeDee Lamb, you're not getting BA.
No, you wouldn't have drafted Brandon Ayuk. You would have drafted somebody else. You probably wouldn't have traded up.
Accurate.
So, I mean, that's the thing is if you're taking Lamb, and I thought at that point, the way it was looking,
I thought
Lamb was a possibility.
I thought CeeDee was a possibility.
He was definitely somebody that was high on Kyle Shanahan's list, but I think they thought they could walk away with Javon Kinlaw and Brandon Ayuk compared to just CeeDee Lamb.
And look, it's still early in Javon Kinlaw's in his career here. It's year 2. He was injured basically since the end of last season, and surgery went well, but then they had a setback, and he's been injured since. He had in-season surgery, and we're hoping he's going to be 100% this offseason.
I think the bigger question is why they didn't go offensive line with that first pick.
Yeah.
We know I would have went with a different receiver with that first pick, but I was kind of the outlier in this.
You were the outlier, Ant. So we'll see what happens. Clown Man here, dude, CD and Cooper, like Cooper Kupp, Odell. I believe with Dak having a bad game against the rush defense he's never faced, it's going to be a wake-up call for Dallas for sure. And look, I think the Niners, this is the difference I think between the Niners and the Cowboys. The Cowboys played in the NFC least. They played against teams that don't have a lot of weapons, that have holes everywhere. You don't have really a good quarterback in the NFC East other than Dak Prescott. That is it. I mean, Daniel Jones has moments and flashes, but he makes mistakes. He's also been injured almost the entirety of the season. Taylor Heineke has flashes and moments, but he's an inconsistent quarterback at best.
Should be a backup.
He should be. And Jalen Hurts is... I know a lot of people are very high on Jalen Hurts, but I don't think you and I see the same thing a lot of other people see when it comes to Jalen Hurts. This is a guy with a lot of limitations. And the Eagles offense has shown those limitations because of it. They've had to turn to... This is a team that wanted to rely on Jalen Hurts' ability and didn't start finding success until they went to a run game and took the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands. And a lot of people haven't talked about that. The success for the Eagles came after you took the ball out of Jalen Hurts' hands and stopped, dropping him back 40 times and having him rush 15 times a game. So look, I think the difference here is that the Cowboys didn't play against a lot of good competition in the NFC East. in 6 of their games and their matchups, and the Niners did. You played a lot of talented wide receivers. You played a lot of talented quarterbacks. You played talented defenses with talented skill players all over the field. I think you're more prepared for this game than the Cowboys are. And as long as the Niners learn from those experiences throughout the year from playing NFC West opponents and take care of the football, I think you're looking at a situation here where there's a lot of potential success for the 49ers on Sunday.
Stop the run on early downs.
Yep.
And get after Dak when you have to. And if they get after Dak when they have to and they get him to the ground and they don't allow him to roll out and make plays, it's going to be a long day for the Dallas Cowboys. It's going to be about stopping the run on early downs and preventing them from converting on third. And if they do, the Niners are going to win this game. You sprinkle in a couple turnovers when Dak makes mistakes, and there you go. But yeah, Dak Prescott's a solid quarterback. He's good. They got some absolute weapons on the outside, but he has to be able to get the ball to those weapons. And if he can't, well, then they're not going to be able to get it done.
Very, very true, Ant. Very accurate there indeed. So we'll see what happens. Brad Jones, though, on the Ambry Thomas situation, apparently he had colitis the year before COVID, lost 35 pounds that year. So you can understand why he took some time to get going and why he struggled with the strength early on. That 100% makes sense, and it also explains why he decided to sit out.
Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense. And
more important things to do than go out there and play football.
And, I heard him talking, post-game, talking about, he finally told John Lynch, he was at practice, a little bit before he started starting, and he had 2 interceptions in practice. And he looked at John Lynch, and John Lynch said, "Hey, how's it going?" He said, "I'm here." And that was the first time that he was in full mental football mode, that he was fully back after the year off. And that was when he locked in. And since then, he's been elevating on the way up. You're seeing a player that's finally reaching not only the mental part of it, but the physical as well. This makes a lot of sense for what he was going through. So he's finally back to that part. That also explains why he was so light. And now he's going to put on more size, and he's going to be able to be more physical and more in the Emmanuel Mosley mold. So, yeah, that's exciting. That's good news for the 49ers.
Oh, man, if he can fit into the Emmanuel Mosley mold, that's huge for the 49ers because Emmanuel Mosley has been awesome locking down on one side of the field. He has been E-Man. So we may have E-Man and Ambry on either side. That'd be great.
Ambry?
It's Ambry Thomas.
Okay.
It's not a good nickname. I know. I'm not a nickname kind of guy. Peter Schrager was on McAfee's show today and basically summed up McDaniels just the way you guys did. Is there really any other way to sum up Mike McDaniels? Yeah. I don't know if you can.
He's one of my favorite interview guys.
He really is.
When he has interviews, it's always fantastic.
True. Brad, remember Armstead struggled early on with injuries as well, and he absolutely did, and is turning around in a big way. And people coming out now and saying, Eric Armstead, better year than DeForest Buckner. Actually, some people saying it and meaning it.
There was a poll on Twitter. I don't remember who put it out, so forgive me for not remembering. But they asked if Eric Armstead was worth the contract. And it was like 85% of 49er fans said, yeah, he's worth the contract.
Oh, man, if only they had been saying that when we signed the contract.
Yeah.
Like I've been saying the whole time. I'm just saying.
There you go.
I'm just saying. Brad Jones, you said it before I could. Yeah, he did. He did struggle early on with injuries, but he turned it around in a big way. He's been building ever since. And listen, I mean, Javon Kinlaw's got plenty of time.
Yep.
And I think a full offseason with Coach Kasarik will do him some wonders with him actually being healthy. We haven't got to see that yet. He hasn't had one of those opportunities. His rookie campaign, you can't forget, he came in a COVID year. So that changed a lot of the way you practice, prep, and do a lot of those things. And then he was injured between rookie and sophomore campaigns.
I'm pretty sure he's never been healthy. I
Probably.
think he came in, he was nursing something, and then he got hurt in the Dallas Cowboys game last year. And he's been trying to overcome from that right now. And they did the surgery. Let's hope it's next year. I think next year's the year. The problem is the move to put Eric Armstead inside has been a huge benefit for the 49ers. So you wonder if the 49ers moving forward, what they do with Kinlaw. I mean, you want to bring DJ Jones back. I don't think there's any world in which you don't. So what does Kinlaw become a backup? Because they're probably not going to move Samson Ebicom from the outside.
Heck no.
You're not going to want to put Armstead back out there again. I think you want to leave him inside. Your run defense is so much better. So where does Kinlaw fit? Kinlaw's going to have to go in there and earn snaps from DJ Jones and Eric Armstead. Good luck. He's going to have to step it up in a big way. And if the 49ers are going to have to make a decision on him really quick. I did bring this up earlier in the year that I wonder what we could get for trading from Javon Kinlaw. Because I think that this defensive line, Chris Kasarik's proving he can do with a lot of players. I'm still hopeful that Kinlaw can turn into the absolute beast that we want him to be because he's got the big physical traits. But right now, he's got an uphill hill to climb because they will want to bring back Arden Key. They will want to roll with Samson Ebby, come on the outside. They've been playing too well, and you do need to bring back DJ Jones because him and Armstead together in the interior has been fantastic against the run.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
It is a problem. Does McDaniel stand on a box to reach the mic during press conferences?
Probably should.
He probably.
Anyone that, I don't know how many people have really watched anything about Mike McDaniels and his story, but if you haven't, you should go back and listen to some of the interviews that he's done. He was a guy that just started going to Broncos camps and stuff. A very interesting guy, and I think that he's one of the more entertaining guys that the 49ers have on the coaching staff. He's one of those guys that I'm curious to see his development as he works towards becoming a head coach. I thought it was going to be a little bit longer just because of his quirkiness.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens with this interview process.
We'll see what happens. We'll see if the Dolphins are serious about this, and if there's another team that's serious about it, Ant. But some breaking news, Ant, coming from. Well, I mean, breaking news coming from John Lynch's KNBR interview that he gave. We already heard the one that he's optimistic Azeez is playing versus the Cowboys on Sunday. But the other, John Lynch stated on KNBR, Ant, that Deebo Samuel is going to be a 49er for a long time. I am stunned. What? So, what? But then why haven't they signed him already, Ant? Why haven't they just given him the monies?
Because they always sign people right before the last year of their contract.
Oh.
Once it gets close to training camp, they'll work out a deal with Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel. They're going to work it out. But you don't make any financial decisions for the future until you know what your financials are going to be looking at next year. And you have to make the decisions on Jimmy Garoppolo, on Laken Tomlinson. There's other decisions that have to be made before you can extend. Remember, they can always franchise tag Deebo Samuel if needed.
True.
So they're gonna work this thing out. I have a feeling they're gonna get this done in the offseason. Deebo Samuel enjoys playing for Kyle Shanahan, and I don't think he believes there's a coach in this league that can do the things for him that Deebo Samuel or that Kyle Shanahan can do for him. So I think that it's gonna get worked out, and I'm not shocked at all that John Lynch said that on KNBR.
No, not at all. And Arden Key apparently also had an interview today and talked recently. And said coming to the 49ers has exceeded his expectations and that, quote, he loves it here. I love it here, Ant. I think that bodes really well for the 49ers being able to re-sign him in the offseason.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, if the 49ers are able to go on a deep run here, especially if they get a Super Bowl, a lot of these players are going to want to run it back. I know there's going to be money out there, but you're going to keep a lot of your players because they're going to want to run it back. And I think that Arden Key, it would make sense for him to stay in San Francisco, even if it's on a 1 or 2 year deal. Because if he did it for a 1 or 2 year deal, and he has even a little bit more success as his snaps go up this year, 35% of snaps, maybe next year it's 45, 50% snaps.
True.
Playing on the interior on obvious pass downs, he could double his money. He could go from making $4 or $5 million on the open market to making $10 to $15 million on the open market.
He's still young,
and he's only 25 years old.
He's young,
so
he could afford to have a couple years here on a cheap, like, incentive laden deal.
Yeah.
In which he really develops and hones his skills before he goes off and gets a big contract for somebody else, because someone will pay him.
Well, and they could also pay him cheap in the next year or so, and then once D Ford's contract comes off the books,
boom,
then his money kicks in. I mean, I think that's how they're going to play it with some of these players whose contracts are going to be coming off. Of course, 2 years from now, they have to decide on Nick Bosa.
David, are you talking about right now what is the average per year for Deebo, or what it would be if they signed him to a big deal? So just let us know in the comment section, and then I'll try and pull up some of that information and what the projected numbers may look like. T.O. here, Kinlaw and Sermon trade for a pick, Ant. I think if you traded both those guys, you'd want multiple picks. I don't think packaging them for one pick would be the most ideal situation for the 49ers.
No, and I don't think they're going to give up on
Sermon.
Sermon. So, yeah, and I actually don't think they're going to give up on Kinlaw. He's on a rookie deal. I know it's a first-round pick money, so it's a lot more money, but I think they want to see what he can do when he's healthy. Now, if for some reason he's not healthy, they've now proven they will cut ties with you. So, Javon Kinlaw, you could be joining Jalen Hurd on the unemployment line if you're not healthy and ready to go. That's just the way they're going to play things from now on. They no longer are going to mess with this. They'll save whatever money they have to save. So I think Kinlaw's going to have to go in there and prove that he can play. I think he's got the mindset for it. But let's see what they can get out of him, and let's see what a healthy knee looks like. Please stay healthy, Javon Kinlaw. Prove what kind of talent you have. I believe he's a very talented guy, but it's going to be an interesting offseason. I think Kinlaw and Trey Sermon are fine in the offseason, but down the road, both of them could be elsewhere if they don't step up to the plate.
Very well could be the case. And David Campbell says, what would it be? So he wants to know what it would be. So currently, Deebo's contract situation sits at about per year. I think his contract, his initial rookie contract was 4 years, $7 million with a $3 million signing bonus, and about an average salary of 1.8. It looks like the market value currently, Ant, for a number one wide receiver in the NFL, $18 million a year is what it is. So about 5 years, $90 million is what you'd be looking at. But Deebo Samuel is a very different situation because of the wide receiver running back combination.
Yeah, we got a super chat here from 49ers George 365. It says, love y'all, go Niners. Thanks for the $5 super chat.
Dang.
And I still love the picture that he's got.
Oh, yeah.
Ray freaking Wersching.
Good old Ray Wersching.
I love it. So thanks, George. We really appreciate it. And then you're talking about the money. It's $18 million. I don't think he gets the full $18 million. Knowing the way the 49ers operate, I think it will be in the $16 million range, depending on how they, plan this out. You got Trent Williams' contract going up. Will that mean Deebo Samuel's money, next year is not as big, and then as it goes through, it plays out. We'll see. Of course, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to free up some money, but we know the TV deals are coming down the line. The salary cap's going to continue to go out. So you could definitely pay him the $18 million if you need to, but I think 16, to 17 million is kind of the area I see Deebo Samuel sitting at.
I agree with you there. That sounds about to where it would be. I love here from Caleb. Trade Deebo for a first so we don't have to pay him.
Oh, gosh.
Because there were people saying that. Also, people saying that about George Kittle and a couple other people as well, Ant. Brad Jones, I think Jordan Willis might be the odd man looking in with the defensive line in the offseason. That could be the case. It very well could be the case. But are going to have some tough decisions. But I think a guy like Mo Hurst is probably going to be on the outs with this group.
Yeah.
Just because he hasn't been healthy for most of the season. Arden Key has stepped up in a big way. You have Kinlaw hopefully coming back healthy, better than ever. And the continued development of Kentavious Street and Kevin Givens. I think it kind of just makes it's a nice luxury to have now. It's probably something that it won't be extended past the season.
Well, and they could always extend Samson Ebukam. He'll be going into his last year with the team.
And stretch that money
out and then give it to some of the other players. You know what you're getting out of Armstead. You know what his money looks like. Bosa's coming down the line. Of course, you can fifth-year option him. Next year will be year 4, so you don't even have to fifth-year option him until after that season or during the season next year, which they will. So I think that you're going to let that play out. With him, you won't work it out until after the 2022 season. That's when you're trying to work out Nick Bosa's contract. So I think there are money things coming down the line. Of course, you got questions about Aziz. You probably need to come up with a contract extension for Trey Greenlaw as well. I seen somebody comment about Jason Verrett. That's probably something they need to think about. But they do have Ambry Thomas now. Let's see if they can hit another cornerback in the draft. You have Emmanuel Mosley for another year. But you have decisions about Jaquiski Tartt as well. There are decisions all over this 49ers team. Thankfully, we don't have to make any of those decisions until after we know how these playoffs play out.
That's right, Ant. We can focus on wild card weekend and super wild card weekend and the Niners match up with the Cowboys first, and then them taking care of business.
Yeah.
A lot of things can change. There was a report that just came out that Bullard from, not Bullard, gosh darn it, who is the Colts general manager? Why am I blanking on this? Ballard.
Yeah.
I saw Sean Bullard and immediately got Bullard on the brain and couldn't think of Ballard. Ballard has come out and said that essentially no one's safe for the Colts. You made the big move for Carson Wentz, in which you were looking like you were going to have to give up a first-round pick potentially for him to the Eagles. And I think they did having to give up a first-round pick based on the numbers he put up this year, even though they didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. So you're going to lose a first-round pick. You're not going to have that. There's turmoil there. A lot of things can change for a team based on performance. So we're all feeling a certain way right now. If the Niners don't go out and win a football game, and Ambry Thomas plays bad, then yeah, Jason Verrett might be a guy that they're looking to bring back in. If the Niners go out and dominate and handle business all throughout the playoffs, though, there's going to be a lot of tough choices that you have to make with this roster because there's a lot of guys you got to try and re-sign. You don't have necessarily all of the cap space that you'd like to have to be able to bring those guys back. So there's tough choices across the board with this team, but none of those things will be able to even get close to being made, Ant, until you know how the playoffs pan out.
Yeah, you're not making any decisions right now. I mean, you have those things in the back of your mind, but you're definitely not making decisions.
And Philip Ant with the $2 super chat and a question for our behinds. What's your take on the Shanahan v. Quinn duel?
I think it's two guys that know each other pretty well. They're going to have an understanding of, what each other wants to do. Question is, are you going to be able to do it? A little sneak peek of what I'm going to be talking about later on is some of our other episodes, is the fact that Kyle Shanahan needs to not be afraid of what Dan Quinn is going to do. Just don't get in there and be like, well, Dan Quinn knows I'm going to do this, so I'm going to do this. They'll go in there and do what you need to do to win, because I think Dan Quinn, even though he might know what Kyle Shanahan's going to do at times, won't be able to stop it. And if he is, you can still adjust off of it. So I think Kyle Shanahan's understanding of Dan Quinn is going to be better, because I think Kyle Shanahan's tools that he's able to play with on offense are better than what Dan Quinn's are on defense. I think an understanding for Kyle Shanahan on Dan Quinn is a little bit of a better situation. You had Dan Quinn's style of defense, that, Seahawks style of defense that gave Kyle Shanahan issues for before. I don't believe it no longer does. And you've actually seen the 49ers have to adjust away from it all the time. It doesn't work consistently. Even Dan Quinn himself running more man covers than he's ever ran before. That's a good situation for the Niners. If you get them into man situations, you can run mesh routes and things over the middle. You can run the bunch sets and really confuse them. And I'm sorry, but they don't have the guys to match up with the 49ers skilled players. George Kittle on a linebacker or safety is a mismatch. Deebo Samuel on any other corner, even Trevon Diggs, is a mismatch. I think they're just mismatches all over the place. And what are you going to do? You're going to cover George Kittle with a linebacker? You're going to cover Kyle Juszczyk with a linebacker? Those are mismatches for the Cowboys. Man coverage can't work consistently. So I think that Dan Quinn has got his hands full in this one. And I think Kyle Shanahan just needs to go in there and do what he does and take advantage of it.
I agree with you 100%. Mopar, I think he's trying to ask if the Niners were to win the Super Bowl and Nick Bosa plays well, could he be the MVP of the Super Bowl? He could be, but he'd have to put together one heck of a performance. If you're not a quarterback in the Super Bowl, you have to put a performance for the ages that no one else can see.
I think if
coming.
he had like three or four sacks,
and maybe forced a fumble, or if you pull the Von Miller type,
I think even 3 or 4 sacks, because he's so popular. I think there's the possibility, especially if the defense, held the team that they're playing to 10 or under.
Sure.
Then yeah.
And Philip, I don't want to go away from it and like act like I'm not answering the question. The problem is Ant basically said everything that I would say in this scenario. The one thing you can't do when you're familiar with a coach is not do what you typically would do, or not do what your eyes are telling you based on who you're going up against. You have to make them stop you. Stop the things that you want to do. I had this problem a lot early on as a coach, especially coaching basketball. You're playing teams in league, get really familiar with what a team's doing, and they get really familiar with what you're doing. You start almost in your head thinking 4 steps ahead of the things you've already seen them adjust to do, and what extra adjustments they may make off of that, and you start almost prepping yourself and wanting to get ahead of those adjustments and those moves because you can see it coming from a mile away. The problem is that sometimes you play right into their adjustment. They're wanting you to think too far ahead, or they're thinking, hey, this is a smart guy. He's going to try and be 2 steps ahead, so we're just going to stick right here and do this thing, and that takes away a lot of these different things, and that doesn't actually play to their strength. If he just tries to come out and does what he needs to do, then I can adjust. So sometimes you can talk yourself out of it almost.
You can outcoach yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
And Ant hit that on the head. And so for me, when you're going up against someone that you're familiar with, first off, make them beat you. Make them come out and make the base adjustments that they need to make. Once they start going through the motions of adjusting and taking away certain things, or coming out in a base set defensively to stop your run game, take away the outside sweep, maybe follow Kyle Juszczyk, utilize him as the key, where he goes, we go sort of thing. Then you as a coach can start adjusting off of that, using that to your advantage, and see everything kind of unfolding. And once it starts to unfold, then you can start thinking a couple of steps ahead. Then you can start prepping for all the extra additional adjustments that you're going to see, because you're getting them in the motion of going through their progression, going through their adjustments. And once they run out of adjustments, hopefully you have a few more in your bag. You have those couple extra moves on the chessboard that he's not ready for. And bam, you find yourself in a situation where maybe early in the game you didn't have success. Now we're looking second, third quarter, you're going to start tearing away and eking away at it.
First 3 plays of the game, the 49ers will motion Kyle Juszczyk and Deebo Samuel and see how the defense reacts.
Agreed.
Once they know how they're going to react, not only will it reveal what coverage they're going to see, it will also react how they're going to play to each player. If you need to use Kyle Juszczyk as a decoy, if you need to send him the opposite way, if you can counter back, what you're doing with Deebo, how many eyes are on him? Are they bringing a safety to the line of scrimmage when he crosses across the center? All those things are going to play into how you attack, and those things are going to reveal what the defense is trying to do. But you're going to have 2 plays called in the huddle. So you can come up, Kyle Juszczyk can go in motion. How they react to it, Jimmy Garoppolo can the play, he can run the play. Whatever they do, that's the advantage of being on offense. you can have two sets of things that you want to do. The defense can do that, but there's no guarantee you're going to come out in the look that they want to see. It's a little bit harder to call defense in that situation. That's why the 49ers need to dictate tempo and dictate what the defense ultimately does. And I saw Brad Jones also saying he's a little worried about Kyle Shanahan versus Dan Quinn matchup after the Falcons match in 2019. I saw that, and I wanted to kind of piggyback off that.
Well, it's the perfect way to piggyback
and
off.
say that Brandon Ayuk didn't exist in 2019 for the San Francisco 49ers.
Also true.
They had Emmanuel Sanders, and Emmanuel Sanders was great for what he did, but Brandon Ayuk can take the top off the defense better than Emmanuel Sanders. We've said this from the beginning. If Brandon Ayuk is the one that's in the 2019 Super Bowl running the deep route, he runs under it for a touchdown. Emmanuel Sanders is overthrown because he's just not as fast. He was coming off the Achilles. There's a different avenue and way to attack. Plus, you had Kendrick Bourne, now you have Jawan Jennings, different type of animal. You have a different run game than you had.
Deebo 3 years in versus Deebo 1 year in.
And also, that was kind of when Raheem Mostert was finally starting to hit his stride. He wasn't even there yet. So it's a different running game. It's a different way to attack. So 2019 is a full 2 years difference. I believe that does change. Also, the personnel that they have on those teams is completely different as well.
Accurate. And your defense is different as well from that time as well. So, I mean, these are different teams, different scenarios, but I understand the concern.
Yeah.
Because it's the same coaching matchup, coaching styles pitted against each other yet again, this time in an even bigger game.
I can guarantee you Kyle Shanahan's watched that game back this week.
Oh, 100%.
Kyle Shanahan
multiple times.
Yeah, to see how Dan Quinn attacked, when he did certain things, what it looked like, how they jumped certain routes.
And what the Cowboys defenses looked like this year compared to what it was against the Atlanta Falcons.
And see if you can find any things and any looks, especially the Minnesota Vikings game where there's going to be concepts that are similar.
Yes.
You can take those and you can figure out exactly how they work up. Lots of film goes into it, lots of preparation. Kyle Shanahan does it a little bit, and of course, his quality control people and do all that. That's why it's always so funny when Grant says quality control. I don't think he actually knows what happens with quality control. There's a lot of work that has to be done there. So there's a lot of people that do a lot of work for Kyle Shanahan and help him along the way.
Very true, Ant. And I made a comment earlier about Ballard said no one was safe, and then we said Buckner coming back, no one is safe. Jonathan Taylor to the 49ers confirmed by Candy Art Collectibles. It's really good there. Caleb, you funny guy, you funny man. Ivan, what do you guys be doing this Sunday? I will be over at the Fudgehead's house to watch the football game because I'm off COVID protocols.
Enjoy.
So barbecuing, doing all that fun stuff, and then obviously right back here for the live stream and the reaction show, and hopefully which we're celebrating a big 49ers win.
Yeah, enjoy. I'll be chilling. I'm gonna watch the game with my dad, and I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be watching. I'm sure I'll be eating tacos at the time. And the 49ers are gonna go in there and take care of the Dallas Cowboys and get a big victory.
Tacos are delicious. I love tacos.
I love tacos as well.
I love tacos as well. It won't be tacos for me, Ant. I'm not sure what. It'll be barbecue, and I'll probably make my baked beans if I'm being honest. I love those baked beans, man. Those things are really good.
Yeah.
They got bacon in them.
Oh, nice. Well done.
Some great barbecue sauce. My special fancy sauce that I put in with the baked beans. How dangerous is Dak escaping the pocket, especially after the last couple of years' injuries? He's still dangerous. We saw it against Arizona on the All-22 film, man. He has some escapability still. Listen, it's just not something that he's going to be, it's not his go-to thing right now. It's not the thing he wants to do. He's extending plays and things of that nature, and occasionally they're using him in read option sort of looks. But right now it's the run game and play action and just moving him in the pocket.
Yeah, he's been pretty efficient in the pocket. But I think he's one of those guys you at least have to worry about. So you're going to have to make sure you keep your pass rush integrity in line. You can't allow this guy to get outside the pocket. Another reason that even though you're going to have guys back in the middle, you don't want to put Eric Armstead on the outside so much. Leave Samson Ebukam out there. Let him pass rush. Let Jordan Willis pass rush from the outside because they can somewhat corral him. You're going to need some inside movement as well, and that's going to be hard to do against this Dallas Cowboys offensive line. You want that inside penetration on the bull rush to be able to collapse this pocket on top of Dak Prescott.
Accurate.
Prescott is still dangerous. I think I would kind of attribute his talent right now to kind of Donovan McNabb, not at the end of his career, but kind of in that intermediate range where the injuries have started to build up and he lost a little bit of speed, but he still had the arm to beat you down the field. That's who Dak Prescott is at this point in his career.
Fair. And that's a quarterback who got to multiple NFC championship games and a Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I believe Dak is good. I don't think there's anything against him, but that's kind of how I see him right now.
It's fair. I think that's a nice comparison. I don't know if Cowboys fans love that comparison, but hey, Cowboys fans, I know there's a couple of you in here, Cowboys fans. You've been awfully quiet because in the poll, Ant, 7% of the Cutback crew voted yes, the Niners had those weaknesses could be their undoing.
Or people are just being realistic. They just think that that's a possibility.
Nah, we know it's Cowboys fans.
Is it Cowboys fans?
I can smell them.
You can smell them?
I can smell them, man. It's not the bacon from my baked beans.
Yeah, that's what I think.
It's the Cowboys fans. Got it. If that's the bacon from my baked beans, I burned them, and we got problems. Who has more TD passes, Jimmy Garoppolo or Deebo Samuel from T.O.?
Jimmy Garoppolo. It'll be Jimmy Garoppolo.
I get it, though, T.O.
Yeah,
because I mean, and he can pass.
We can't tell you because it'll spoil the preview show. But while that's bold, we give you a really good idea of what Jimmy's going to do with the football in his hands.
It's true, and who knows, Ant? Maybe the Madden Sim will give him some insight as well. You got the Madden Sim coming tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
Madden Sim is exciting. It's a roller coaster ride. You want to be in that one.
Don't tune out. Stay to the end.
Yeah.
It is a roller coaster of emotions in that Madden simulation. You will not regret it. I can promise you that. We got a great Madden sim tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. And then the preview show after that, 11 a.m. What's Good with Jay in the Bay at 2 p.m. Pacific time, Ant. And then a good old-fashioned all-22, know your opponent, taking a look at the Dallas freaking Cowboys and how the Niners can maybe take advantage of some things or just glean some insight.
Yeah, it was a fun breakdown. There's a lot of great things coming on the Friday Frenzy. I'm excited for it, but I'm really excited for this game. And there's a lot of cool matchups in it, and of course you got the whole everything that's going on with this rivalry. And I don't know how many people know. I think everyone has stages of rivalries, right?
True.
So most people that are born in the 80s have an understanding of the catch, but the rivalry for them starts kind of in the 90s. I know you even though the 90s is there, you don't really have the same sort of feeling towards it. I believe that a lot of people do because you were so young when you did it.
Well, I was young, and then I also got, I got the talkings too from the father and family members who were Niners fans, so I knew about the rivalry.
Like, did they sit you down and be like, "Hey, son, I'm going to talk to you about this rivalry"?
Oh yeah. We had the tapes too, the VHS tapes with the greatest moment games and just insights from the Niners. I mean, my dad had every Super Bowl and playoff run on VHS, so I watched them all back. Like, I remember vividly sitting there in summer times on his lap watching 49ers games of glories past, and Steve Young will one day be able to hopefully do this types of stuff, and then he eventually gets his Super Bowl win. So I remember all of it, but it's different, right? Because I went from that very early age, Ant, into the late 90s, 2000s, which ends up being the doldrums for the 49ers. And then I remember getting to a Super Bowl finally, and actually being old enough to appreciate and understand it, watching the Niners get down early, being depressed, Niners come back, so much hope, lose, going up into my room and being like, I just wish they'd never made a Super Bowl. I'm a teenager, I'm heartbroken over it. And then getting out of that phase and getting into my 20s and being like, what an idiot. You know how many chances your team may get in a Super Bowl? Like, I would rather go to a Super Bowl. I'd rather be the Bills and get to 4 or 5 straight Super Bowls and lose every single one of them than not at all. Well,
No.
hold on. Than not even have a chance at a Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, you don't want to lose in the Super Bowl.
I don't want to lose in a Super Bowl, but I would rather be there and have an opportunity than to be a team like the Jets or the Dolphins that have been perennially bad since forever.
If you've lost championship games, you understand how excruciating it is to lose.
It is heartbreaking.
Because you play it back in your mind forever. Could I have made this choice? Could I have done this? What about this one? And those are excruciating. You don't do those with regular season games.
I know, but I would
going to a Super Bowl and losing is way more excruciating than not making it.
I agree with you.
I agree that you want to have opportunities to win.
I'd rather have opportunities to
But
win.
when you get there, you better darn win. Because if you lose,
One of them.
you will never forget. And I mean, everyone on the 2012 49ers, everyone on the 2019 49ers, that will stick with them. The only thing that is going to help that 2019 team get over it is if they win this year.
Exactly.
If they win the Super Bowl this year, it will help. Even then, they will think to themselves, I could have done this. I could have made that play. If I would have only done this, I would have won.
We'd have 2 Super Bowl rings.
Bingo. Jimmy G wouldn't be worried about his job. Jimmy G would be secure in his job. So there are things that come up just like that. But yeah, no, you do not want to lose a Super Bowl. Not at all.
I know. Gosh, this got.
Ooh, there you go.
This got deep. What was it?
Rick Dowdy says he remembers the LaMonica comeback win in the 70s. Hated the Cowgirls ever since.
You were talking about that earlier this week.
1972, the 49ers were up 11 with 2 minutes left, and they lost. And It's one of those ones that is excruciating because the 49ers were finally going to get over the hump. That was supposed to be the catch game, right? That was the one that you ended that losing streak to Dallas. You finally beat them. Yes, those ones struggled, but that's what made 1981 even more special.
Sure.
And the catch is ending that the 70s. 1977 was the last Super Bowl for Dallas before that, but they were in the NFC Championship with an opportunity to go, and the 49ers dashed their hopes and dreams and finally took one back. Joe Montana didn't have a great game. He's really struggled in the 1981 game, but he was talking a lot of trash in that game. He was getting after it in a big way, letting them know what's up. Kind of the fire you see from Jimmy Garoppolo lately, that's what Joe Montana had in that game. But it's one of the most pivotal games in the history of the NFL. Not just this rivalry, but the history of the NFL. But none of it is as accurate and as grueling as it was without the 1970s. Those 3 times the 49ers lost to the Cowboys in the 1970s is the reason that 1981 was so important. And ultimately, that is what it was, the reason why the 1990s were so important. They literally hated each other. And I think that's what we're seeing a little bit with the Deebo Samuel and the Rams. But yeah, I don't think we understand that yet with the Cowboys, but the fans definitely do.
And the fans do, Ant, and hopefully it comes back around in a big way. Last bit of news before we wrap up for the night, Ant. I don't know if you knew this or not, but did you know that the 49ers set a franchise record on Sunday against the Rams? Did you know that?
No.
The 49ers, for the first time in franchise history, had 3 players finish with 90 or more receiving yards in a game. Brandon Ayuk with 107, Deebo with 95, Juwan Jennings with 94. That is the first time in 49ers franchise history that has happened. And Matt Mayoko and Matt Barrows both said, it's surprising knowing the names that you have in the receiving core for the 49ers throughout history, but that is the first time it's ever occurred.
Is that including tight ends or just wide receivers?
I believe it's wideouts, just wide receivers.
If I had to guess, there's probably been a couple groupings.
Jerry Rice, John Taylor,
and Bren Jones.
Yeah.
Or even a Vernon Davis, Michael Crabtree. I'm sure there's been a few other situations. Maybe even this year, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel.
That's probably happened.
I think that there's close. But yeah, you're right. 3 wide receivers. But the 49ers, through the years, third wide receiver has never been a strength of the 49ers through the years, right? When you had those guys, you had Wilson, or you had Sherrard, and then later on you had J.J. Stokes, Terrell Owens, I guess he was already probably 2, but at first,
first he started at 3.
3, yeah. So, I can get it. The third receiver is usually hard to get a 90-yard game out of a third receiver.
Accurate, Ant. So first time it's ever happened in franchise history. That is great. Cutback crew. Any last minute questions? Right now is the time to get these things in. Sean Bullard said Roger Craig. There's probably a game where that happened.
Oh, bingo. There you
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Rice, Taylor, and Craig.
Yeah, Rice, Taylor. Roger Craig, it still baffles me that this guy's not in the Hall of Fame. Just absolutely baffles me. He revolutionized the position. There would be no Marshall Faulk, Edgerrin James, who were in the Hall of Fame without Roger Craig first doing what he did. The vision that Bill Walsh had for him had to be executed by Roger Craig, and he did it in a big way. That to me is still one of the biggest gaffes in the history of the Hall of Fame.
Keats Nehemiah.
Oh yeah, Ronaldo Nehemiah. Nehemiah, he was
T.O.'s
nice.
Fantastic, man.
Nehemiah was a really fast guy, Alex.
He was very quick. Just the fact that that's where T.O.'s head went was Nehemiah was absolutely glorious. I saw it was like, of course.
Yeah.
Of course it's T.O. here in the chat, Ant. Cowboys.
Do you know what he did?
No.
Ronaldo Nehemiah. Do you know what he was before he played NFL?
No,
football?
I did not. What did he do?
He was a hurdler.
Was he really?
He was a hurdler, yeah.
Wow.
He was a track star.
Oh,
yeah.
Look at that.
Bill Walsh used to reach into other things. Michael Carter, silver medalist, right, in the shot put.
Shot put, that's right.
Then you had Ronaldo Nehemiah, who was one of the fastest hurdlers in the world. So, yeah.
Also, didn't realize that Saweetie, the rapper, Sweetie, is a harper. Didn't know that. He's a harper.
Number one, I don't know who she is.
She's a rapper. She had a 49ers verified video they did because she's a celebrity who's a 49ers
I seen the Bailey
fan.
one.
You saw the Bailey one. Okay, so it's very similar to that, but Sweetie's a rapper. She's from the Bay Area. Really, really popular right now, especially out in the Bay. But apparently she's relatives with Harper, 49ers D lineman. Remember Josh Harper, who went to St. Mary's?
Yes.
And his father played for the 49ers?
Yes.
Apparently that's cousin. Cousin, niece.
You realize all you threw out was Harper.
Sorry.
I'm supposed to know who this is.
Sorry.
Alvin Harper.
I apologize.
You Jay Hilled me.
I did Jay Hill you. I
Yeah.
gave you just the last name and expected you to understand what was going on. Didn't realize that she was related to Josh Harper and then the 49ers lineage, and that's how she became a 49ers fan. Sweetie, Josh Harper and I are best buddies from high school. Not really.
No.
Moral of the piece.
Yeah.
Hey, I do appreciate his lineage and his father, though. There's that. There is that. Mike Shanahan, George Seifert, Roger Craig need to be in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed. Yeah, I don't know if George Seifert ever gets there. He only had the one Super Bowl win.
Just one.
He had
wasn't a lot of time.
Very good career though. I mean, he won a lot of football games. Question. I mean, I'm probably not going to get into this right now, but everyone can think about this next time. Should the 49ers have hired, even though they won a Super Bowl, was he the correct hire, George Seifert, for that 1989 football team, or should it have been a young offensive coordinator, Mike Holmgren?
That is a solid question, Ant. Let's definitely think about that for next time. That is a solid question.
So, yeah.
Caleb, I don't appreciate the condescending Alex putting out the knowledge we need, LOL. Did you just lose to me in the Madden League? I think you did.
Yeah, I don't think that's not the knowledge I needed, for sure.
I didn't need it. I feel like Jay Hill now, and that's not a good thing.
But I appreciate it because now I'm not going to go watch that episode.
Well, there you go. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I gave you the most important piece of information out of that episode, Ant. It was the most important one. George
did have two Super Bowls. Apologies. I literally mentioned 89 and then forgot to give him credit for it. You're 100%. He should have been he should be in the Hall of Fame then. Two Super Bowls. For some reason, I only gave him credit for 94.
I don't know why.
Because he didn't really deserve credit.
Because it wasn't his team.
But no, he deserves credit for both because he had to bring that team together. Bill Walsh had just left. Those are big shoes to fill.
What?
Famously, though, the certs for luck 3 times he'd blow through it. He's one of the most quirky guys. Like we think Mike McDaniel's quirky. George Seifert's really, really quirky.
Well, hold on. Does Belichick's son have a run for money there?
Ooh, Steve? Steve's an interesting cat as well. Don't you have to be an interesting cat to be the son of Bill Belichick?
Yeah, because Bill Belichick's an interesting dude.
Yeah. Super smart, but yeah. They're
stupid smart. I just love the fact that he's got dad's mullet from dad's early coaching days. Like he's just
the mullet's back in.
I've noticed. Ant. I'm seeing pictures of it everywhere.
Yeah, nothing wrong with the mullet. I mean,
listen, I had a mullet growing up.
Business in the front, party in the back.
That's all. That's all what it's about. It was Walsh's team in '89. You are correct. You paid EA. That's why I lost. #rigged.
Wow, there we go.
Apparently, Ant, I'm cheating not only in Lock It Up, Ant, but also.
Well, I mean, I didn't say it. You seem like you're defensive though.
No, not really.
Caleb, you might want to do like a recount. Just saying. Just double check, man. Just saying.
We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. Hey, there's still a lot of time in the Madden League. We're only in like week 13, and still a lot of games to play.
Yeah, how's that going, by the way? Isn't the one guy just dominating right now?
Drew has been dominating. Yeah, so Drew dropped he dropped a hundo bomb on one of the cutback crew. He dropped 100.
100?
101 to like, I think it was 10.
Wow.
101 to 10. I haven't even watched the game yet. Because everything else was going up with the pod, the Niners rolling, making the playoffs, all that fun stuff. Me being at Mike Vrabel's house for so long, so.
Is that where you learned how to cheat from Vrabel? Vrabel learned from Belichick. It all makes sense now.
This is why I've been taking a path to the dark side. It's Mike Vrabel's fault.
Makes sense.
As the cutback crew is saying, apparently a family member Mike Vrabel, because apparently I look just like him.
You do look kind of like Vrabel.
The nose.
I think it's more than just the nose, but yeah, you do look like him.
Well, hot diggity dog.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
You look like a famous person.
Well, I wouldn't go that.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine. I got some similar features and characteristics.
There you go.
Okay. Well, there we go.
That's a lot closer.
New rules for the Hall of Fame will make it easier for coaches to get in now. Oh.
There you go.
Well, there it is then.
I like that.
It wasn't George the DC for Walsh. I think he was.
He was a defense. And he worked a lot with the defense. So he was defensive back coach.
Yes.
In the early 80s.
Yes.
Worked with Ronnie Lott in that 1981 draft group. And then eventually he translated into the defensive coordinator, was defensive coordinator. In fact, the famous story is he's on a flight. And there's back then, no cell phones and stuff. He's on a flight at which he stops. They have like a little transfer. I think they're at Dulles. And he's transferring over, and he calls his wife to see how she's doing. She says, "Hey, you need to come back. 49ers want to name you the head coach." But he was going to interview for another job when that happened. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so back then it was a little bit different. But yeah, then that's how he becomes the head coach of the 49ers. Good coach. I know they all respected him a lot. The Ronnie Lott and those players respected him a lot. So in that regard, I know he's a good. I just ask, could it have been Mike Holmgren? We know it wasn't 2-3 years later. Mike Holmgren is leading Green Bay and changing Green Bay forever, and ultimately, once again, changing how the 49ers and Cowboys dynasties ended.
Accurate. May have been different if you keep him around.
Yeah.
Who knows? What a good what if scenario, and maybe a good what if scenario.
You want to hear something crazy?
For 49ers Cutback in time.
Yeah,
Also.
do you want to hear something crazy?
Sure.
1989, Mike Holmgren takes over as head coach.
True.
Joe Montana has his best statistical year of all time under Mike Holmgren. Not Bill Walsh, under Mike Holmgren.
May have changed everything. May have changed everything forever.
Interesting.
Very interesting conversation.
Something we might have to have a real conversation about.
I agree with you on that. We may have to, actually. But Cutback Crew, we're going to wrap this thing up right now. It's a nice long stream. Great conversation. Chat lively as all could be.
Cutback Crew came in full force. I mean, it was fantastic questions from beginning to end. Really enjoyed the conversation.
I cannot thank you guys enough, literally. You guys really make this channel tick. You guys are the heart and soul of this channel. We're feeding off of you a lot of the times. And listen, it's a lot easier for us to come in and pump out the content that we've been pumping out, do these live streams, and continue to engage with you guys because of who you are, how you are, the questions that you ask, and the way you engage. We cannot thank you enough for all the support.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's one of the reasons we flipped the live stream to complete Q&A. Oh, yeah, we're going to get some news updates in there, but we wanted to be able to interact with everyone. We missed that when we were doing other things, and we like it. So very, very thankful for everyone that came through today and everyone that asked all the good questions, because without good questions, you can't get good answers. So we really appreciate it.
Agreed. And show some love to Gary. 49ers Fogies in the chat. Mwah! The best mod. Mwah! Mwah! One of the best moderators we have, Ant. Absolutely fantastic. The like monitor in the house, as always, taking care of business. And he's got some great content over there, too, for 49ers Fogies with his podcast.
Yeah, go check out Gary's 49ers Fogies. It's great. He puts out shorts. They put out some stuff during the week, too. So go check it out. It's a good time, and always support Gary. Gary's one of the great people that there is in 49ers fandom, or none. I mean, he's just one of the best. So any support that we can give to him is always something we want to do. But everyone go check out 49ers Fogies and go interact with them.
Absolutely. Go give them some love. Guys, we'll catch you on the next one, 9 a.m. Friday Frenzy tomorrow. Don't miss it. Incredible Madden Sim. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be absolutely fun. Yeah, lots of... There we go. It's wonderful. Cutback Crew. We'll catch you on the next episode. And I think it's about that time.
Yeah, it's time. Let's chalk another one up.
9 a.m. See you tomorrow, Madden Sim.